Vietnam's traditional architecture is a unique and beautiful expression of cultural heritage, with influences from Chinese and French design. Vietnam's architectural style has evolved over countries to create a distinctive blend of Eastern and Western elements. One of the most striking features of traditional Vietnamese architecture is its use of natural materials such as wood, bamboo, and stone. These materials were chosen not only for their beauty but also for their durability and ability to withstand the country's humid climate. Vietnamese buildings were also designed to be both functional and aesthetically pleasing. For example, traditional houses were often built around residential courtyards which provided natural ventilation and light. Meanwhile, the roof was designed to be slightly pitched to allow for rainwater runoff. Another key feature of Vietnamese architecture is intricate ornamental details found on many buildings. These details could include carving, mascrones, mosaics, or of which were created by skilled craftsmen. In addition, many buildings feature decorative tiles as known as yin-yang tiles, which were arranged in patterns to symbol balance and harmony. One iconic example of traditional Vietnamese architecture is the pagoda. Pagodas are religious structures that are typically adorned with ornate decorations and intricate carvings that serve as places of worship for Buddhists and are often situated in scenic locations such as atop hills or near river. Another notable example of traditional Vietnamese architecture is the communal house. Communal houses were public buildings where local residents could gather for meetings, festivals, and other events. They were usually built with large open spaces and featured elaborate carvings and colorful murals. In addition to these architectural structures, Vietnam is also home to many beautiful gardens and parks. These green spaces were designed to complement the surrounding buildings and create a sense of harmony between nature and architecture. Let's talk about traditional Vietnamese architecture, interesting history and unique. This is from Vietnamese Travel. Vietnamese architecture of traditional Vietnam's architecture is so impressive and diverse. It can be divided into 5 main parts: vernacular, Chinese, ethnic, colonial, and modern. Vietnamese people are always proud of the historic monuments with traditional style scattered throughout the country. Traditional Vietnamese architecture in both traditional Vietnam architecture in both wooden structures and step roofs. Both large and small buildings have an own number of compartments with sets of beams and rafters. The depth of the interior of the house is determined by the number of columns in each compartment. The wooden beams, rafters, turnoms, and mortises, and other components constitute a solid framework which supports the roof. The house may have a wooden wall or a wall of uncoated bricks with curved upward cuts of mortar in between the bricks. The wall must be linked to the system of outer columns. The link wall must be constructed so as to surround the frame system, creating a protective and load-bearing roof. The whole house stands on floor foundation with a system of stone base that supports the column. The ancient step roof is curved at 4 ends and its edges are decorated with high relief motifs. Most of gables of the house are decorated. As a result of roof looks quite light in spite of its large size. Over time, the wood frame has experienced gradual changes and going from superposed ties, gong hanger ties to arm shaped ties, from front ties and back shoulder ties without close struts to ties provided with multi-threaded horizontal consoles for supporting of roof from large and heavy to slender and light beams and ties. Vietnamese architecture traditional house. The first one street houses, one store houses. Street houses. Vietnamese traditional wood architecture originated from the house on stilts dating back to the time of the Dong Son culture, 3rd century B. Nowadays, wooden houses on the streets are still seen in the highlands and mainlands inhabited by the Che Nang, Thai, Mong, Ing, and Bana. Certainly, the house on the stilts of these ethnic groups may differ with regard to the layout, structure, and beams and rafters and other components. One-story houses. One-story houses are the most representative of Vietnamese traditional wood architecture. However, construction of 2 stories or are also seen. The bell tower of Kiao Pagoda in Thái Bình province. The bell or drum tower Stay Pagoda is Ha Thi province. Himland pavilions in Hue, and so on. The number of compartments of multiple-story building usually decreases as the building grows in height. For example, Himland Pavilion has 5 compartments on the first floor, but 3 compartments on the second. Only 1 compartment on the 3rd floor. Such a house also has 1 main column, bolstering all the stories. All the wooden components of the house are linked close to one another by means of tens or mortises. Overall, the beauty of traditional Vietnamese architecture lies in its blend of functionality, aesthetics, and cultural significance, from the ornate decorations on pagodas to the natural materials used in construction. Every element of traditional Vietnamese architecture is carefully chosen to create a cohesive and meaningful design, despite the influence of modern architecture, many traditional buildings and structures can still be found throughout Vietnam. They serve as a reminder of the country's rich cultural heritage and offer visitors to glimpse into beauty of Vietnamese architecture.